Welcome back to the Prime Championship Circuit and welcome back to the desk. My name is Ardog with the Triple G and I'm here with Easy Ed and Wangle. This is the grand finals here at PCC 7. We are watching a best of 5 series and we're here to find out who can call themselves champions of the PCC and wear that PCC crown. Dirty Lake and the boys just won the first game and up next is game number 2. One of the heroes we don't see a lot of was piloted by Shin in that last game. Let's talk about it. It was the Morigesh. I'm gonna hand it over to you, Wangle, to talk about her.
I think the win rate does a disservice to this character. Obviously, it's, a little bit out of the box mid laner. I think I'm like 2 or 3 of the 5 games that this thing's been picked. So, just call me bad. Don't call the character bad. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to do a lot there. It kind of needs some tanky frontline in front of it in order to play. But if you are able to get marks, we saw it a couple times there. We saw it once specifically with Lakeinator. Lakeinator got marked in a team fight, and they had the Morigesh ult plus the Murdoch ult was able to take him down from about half HP or more before a fight. Ended up not working out for Indecisive, but the pick potential is there with the character.
The pick potential is there, and the question is are they going to pick that Morigesh yet again? Let's dive right back into the draft. Going into this draft, though, are you expecting a different strategy, Ed? Are you thinking we're going to see a Morigesh again, similar bans, or as the analyst, what do you have to think or say?
I don't think that they're going to take that Mori again. It just didn't work into the game plan that they must have came up with. And, Appy on Argus, he really just made play after play. And Argus just does so much damage early and throughout the whole game, really. I mean, he's almost an unfun hero to play against. So I could definitely see them Indecisive here trying to take that Argus, maybe try to put him in the support role or something. But you see the Seb ban against Indecisive. That's interesting to me because they punish the Seb so well so early. I just don't think they capitalized on it enough to really take him out of the game. But DLab copying the same thing as last time with that Zarus ban and Indecisive with the Narbash now, really going after the dual lane that seemed to just play so well. And Narbash is just a phenomenal hero through and through. If you can get past that 15-minute mark, he is a menace to play against. And, if you're in a team fight, you can clear the team, go to the objective, and it doesn't matter about the other team coming back because Narbash already has you at full health. So I like that pick from Indecisive. That's going to really crutch over against D-Lab, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we're seeing the Argus come out here as first pick for D-Lab. Not much surprise. Again, very good double flex for him, especially since Belica got nerfed. Argus kind of fills that role now, can be played both mid lane and support very easily. The Kwang coming out, something I think very much to be expected. They obviously banned the Kwang last time on the side of Indecisive. They didn't want Lauber to kind of be able to neutralize that lane, but they realized that the Sev allows them to just scale even if he's behind and get into the game. The Kwang kind of falls off late game, so maybe the early game punish on Lauber, if it goes the same way, will matter more. The Grux very early, and the Rampage coming out for import. The Grux, very good matchup into Kwang, one of the few things that can just run him down if the Kwang ever misplays. The Rampage as well, once he gets that 6 spike, he's stacking haste. He's going to get this ult over and over and over, and he's going to make plays with it. He's going to try and create picks around the map. Very high tempo, aggressive jungler.
Yeah, I like this Rampage pickup by Indecisive too. So what their philosophy here, it looks like, is they want the sustain in those team fights. And if you watched a little bit, it looked like that's kind of where they struggled. So taking the Narbash, the Rampage, the Grux, this is a beefy front line that is going to be tough for D-Lab to get through. I like the Kira pick here again. It gives Kira a little bit of maneuverability in those team fights for repositioning. You see this has got to be a target ban against North here with this Kallari. Kallari was a menace for them last game, and they're saying not anymore. We don't want it, and D-Lab is not even giving Neff an opportunity to do what he does on his favorite hero. So I like these bans so far here. I'm interested to see what the next pick is and what they can do from it. But again, the Kira, the Kwang, and the Argus, it's good, but I really like Indecisive's Narbash, Grux, and Rampage so far.
Whoa, the phase pick. It's not something that I would have expected. I would have maybe said something like a Decker or something like a Richter that can punish the Narbash a little bit harder in lane, but Toasty going for that safe pick, something that they had a lot of success with, allowing Lakinator to play a bit safer, maybe not get as punished in lane by aggressive duo lanes. The Gideon coming out on Indecisive, a staple pick throughout this whole tournament, and the Murdoch as well, Neft's signature champion, something that he's been playing since the beginning of the game, even when other people weren't. I think this is a very good rounded out team fighting team comp from Indecisive. Very much they want to walk at you. They want to make picks with the Rampage ult, with the Grux knockup, allowing Gideon to come in with the ult. There's not a lot to stop, but the phase probably has to go Silentium here. And I think we're looking at probably a Chimera last pick, if I was to guess. There's a couple things that can happen here, but if I was to choose one, might be the Chimera pick.
Yeah, you almost have to go Chimera for this last pick here. But again, there's nothing really to take Gideon out of his ult. We see the crunch. So, I mean, there it is. Both of these teams love crunch. They're both very confident with them. So I love the crunch concept here. But FaZe has to go Silentium to counter that Gideon, because Argus is going to use his lob to do any engagement, and that's just going to give Gideon a free play. And we've seen through past games throughout this whole tournament that Gideon is a menace if there's no answer to his ult. So this should be really fun to watch. But I honestly, on this side, I'm liking Indecisive drafts a little bit more. But D-Lab showed up last game, and I think they're going to try to continue on that hot streak that they're running with right now.
And now we've got the draft between both of these teams. Wangle, D-Lab has not lost in PCC 7 with Lobber on their roster. And we see that it's going to be a Kwang versus Grux matchup. How's that looking? What do you think?
The Grux obviously has that priority. Grux very easy to gank. It's been the history of them in comp. There are just games the Grux will just go 0-7. It is what it is. But out of the lane, if the Grux can stay kind of even, it will be able to create a lot of disruption in these team fights if it can get into the back line. Morose probably the one person, if they were going to make the Grux work in comp, you'd want it to be him. So I think this offlane, again, it's going to be something very much to focus on in the early stages of this game.
Definitely going to be a banger of a series yet again for this game number 2. But Ed, we know what kind of engagement we're expecting from the Indecisive team comp, but D-Lab, they have a different strategy here. Now you've got the crunch who can be a big body as their jungler. But what is their strategy going into game number 2 from D-Lab side?
I mean, I think you just got to let Norf on Crunch make his plays. But as far as team fights go, I love the phase concept here, because Crunch has 2 ways in, but no way out. So phase is a good pickup to help save Norf if he puts himself in a bad situation, or he gets inside their Grux Rampage, just big body business going on. So it should be interesting. These guys, D-Lab, they really need to be perfect and make no mistakes, because they can get very much so punished by just the operations that Rampage, Grux, and Gideon have over there.
And every decision has to be meticulously calculated when you're playing in the grand finals. This is game number 2 in this best of 5 series. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming back Ego and F6.
Gamers, welcome back to the grand finals after Indecisive got the first blood. D-Lab came back with the first win. It's going to be your boy Ego rocking out with you, but I'm never rocking alone. F6, the man, the myth, the legend. Brother, how are we feeling?
I am feeling good, but probably not as good as D-Lab is feeling right now, able to secure that game 1. Hopefully they're able to keep that momentum going here in game number 2.
Yes, indeed, and momentum most definitely on the side of their bench, that mysterious 6 teammate you don't see, but you love to have. But we know Indecisive, this is a team of champions, this is a team of winners, and this possibly could be a team that comes back and evens us up, guarantees us at least a game 4.
definitely on their way to try and climb out of this hole because they are one game behind. This means they have to play one more to get themselves back into position to even get back on the tying board, right? So they're going to be really looking forward to come out and show out in this game number 2.
Yeah, and it's a lot of a game of mechanic, strategy, placement, but also mental fortitude. It's something that is so very important. And one person I would like to point out who probably has a very strong mental is going to be Lauber. To keep in mind that Lauber, throughout the entirety of this tournament, when he's been playing, has not seen the defeat screen.
I mean, when you're the Swedish warrior, you're just able to win. Even though he did get focused out in that last game, just complete early game was shut down, he was still able to find his way back into the game and still was able to impact it for D-Lab to come out on top.
Yeah, if I'm going to have anyone going up against Morose on the Grux, Lauber is going to be a very comfortable pick, as we know that he can give a lot of engagement value, but also his mechanical prowess is matched by very few, even at the highest competitive levels. That being kept into mind here, I want to get into your head, F6, and ask you, what do you think overall about these team compositions?
When it comes to the end of the day, I'm going to have to go with Team Indecisive here. They're able to take away the Narbash away from Toasty, and I think the key part of D-Lab winning today has been that Narbash, and the fact that Indecisive is able to pick it up is going to force Toasty to be on somebody a little bit less comfortable to allow him to be able to try and play this game.
I have to agree with that, and if we're going to be pulling up characters, talking about Loxin in particular, I feel like it would be doing a disservice not to talk about the Argus, as we are going to see a thunk and a little bit of damage come out in the dual lane.
Definitely trying to get that pressure, but Import here looking for that 3-minute gank.
And he's going to find it, forcing the blink out now. North is going to be playing throughout the fog gate. Appy Picker maybe looking to translate a little bit of damage to give North an opportunity for a pickup. But here, just past the 3-minute mark, neither team is going to be able to find a kill.
He's just unstoppable at this 3-minute mark. He's always able to get a resource or get a kill whenever he rotates. We saw it last game towards that off point, and now here we see it again in the mid. And this is why Import is just a top tier jungler. He's able to apply that pressure throughout this early game. Now, when it comes to that mid game, it all depends on if he's able to keep that momentum going and if they're going to be able to stop it on the side of Dirty Lake and the boys, either with vision control or just allowing themselves to win these lanes on the opposite sides of the map that he's trying to gank.
And vision control is such an important facet to touch upon. And man, a gank can be the greatest possible. Number one great gank in A and EU. It matters a lot less, though, if the enemy team can see you from across the map. So the ward coverage could play a large factor in who's able to maybe lock down the first kill or the overall momentum in this game.
I mean, it also plays into that mid to late game, right? When I talk about objective control, one of the first things you need before those objective controls is vision, being able to get those wards up. And I think Morose needs a ward.
Yeah, and he needs help more than that, as the blink is going to be used here. North using his own, as well as the dash, is going to be looking to lock down a kill at the most, in which they will find, as within game 2, it's going to be D-Lab who strike first.
Oh, man, that is the gank that you would expect from Import, but it was North this time, able to secure that first blood over on top of this offlane. And now with that, Kwang is going to have a little bit more of a lead heading into the middle part of this game.
Man, that's a double L. You can call it a Lauber lead. And with the loss of life there, that is going to deprive the enemy team solo laner from being able to farm up. This is not what you want to see from Indecisive if you're hoping for them to bring it back. But hey, First Blood is still only 1 kill, and there's still a lot of predecessor left to be played here.
A lot indeed. A little bit of that goal does go towards Kwang, like talking about getting that lead. But North says he's trying to push that throughout the entire map.
Yeah, now being able to force the blink out, that is going to leave them a little bit more vulnerable, at least for the next 3 minutes, anytime they may be looking to push up or just push a little bit of aggression onto the enemy team. I doubt that that's going to be the last time we see Import making a rotation.
No, we know he likes to get active. We know he likes to be able to farm and rotate. There is not a lot of times that Import makes a decision that slows him down. He's always looking 3 to 4 steps ahead to try and impact the map as much as he can. And if he's able to do it here today, especially early game on, when it comes to those first Fang 2s, I think it's going to go in the favor of the side of Indecisive, and if they're able to keep that momentum up.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, we know that the Fangtooth has played such a key factor within previous games, as Manq is going to be able to turn on the heel and turn the drumstick into an offensive weapon, landing the thunk as Lakinator gets pulled into safety. Do you think we're going to see Indecisive maybe put a little bit more priority on making sure that D-Lab doesn't get that first or second Fangtooth?
Last game, we saw them able to get that Fangtooth lead that really thrived and helped them push their lead forward, able to catch Lauber back up by securing those objectives by getting him some gold somewhere else. And if they're able to do that again, with already the lead that Lauber has, even though it's a little, it's going to be very impactful throughout the rest of the game.
And it's a lot of little things that make a big impact. Every mount was at one point a pebble, and Indecisive very capable of capitalizing if D-Lab leaves any little advantages over towards them. Something that I'm actually looking forward to see a combination of these experienced players such as Shin being able to do whenever they get comfortably into the mid game. As we're going to see a teleport into an immediate black hole. Now Import making a rotation. It is going to be Argus looking for some help, in which he will not find it, as another kill goes in favor now of Indecisive.
Great pickup there, understanding that he was just out of position. He thought he was safe that far away, but with that torn space, you're easily able to capitalize on an Import ready at any moment notice to be able to jump on that opportunity. They were able to get the Argus picked out there in mid, now leading to an advantage going towards the first Fangtooth.
And this is exactly what we talked about, man. Get a pick and then get a neutral objective. Keep it out of the pockets of D-Lab and maybe build yourself some advantage, something that we know this team is not comparable, but they excel at doing. Building a bunch of advantage, overtaking these Fangtooths, and ultimately being able to run down the opposition, as North is going to be looking to possibly run down Shin, landing a little bit of damage, but not wanting to fully commit to an engage.
Tried to get something off there. I think he was thinking Appy Picker was a little bit closer, but he could have definitely been in a bad spot if that rock were to hit, if he was a little bit closer to, not as close to the wall as he was there, and to be able to pick that up. But Import, if able to get the first Fangtooth there, is a huge play for Indecisive. Now they have that one Fangtooth lead, and if they can stretch that, they can look towards this mini prime.
And if they're able to just build upon a pick here, a neutral objective, this game could ultimately, decisively go in their favor. But as we said earlier, there's a lot of predecessor to be played, and I highly doubt that D-Lab is going to take it laying down, knowing that this team is very capable of setting up some solid defenses.
We've seen them do it over and over again in all the PCCs. They are a tough team. They are always prepared to play from behind. They have not had that case yet today in the semifinals, going into that first game as well. So they're doing a very good job of just keeping themselves ahead. But we do also know when it comes to a defense, if any team can mount one as great as D-Lab, it's going to be them.
Yeah, and I just hope it's something that we can see, or even better, for the sake of entertainment of the fantastic viewers of the PCC7, a little bit of offense. As they do say, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So knowing that Indecisive is going to want to be able to scale with this one Fangtooth and maybe make it into a second and third, maybe seeing D-Lab get a little bit active, picking some team fights like we saw them do so well within last game's mid game, could be a key to them pulling out a win.
We are trying to be pulling out a win today. With this game, just a little bit of slower pace, you can really tell that Indecisive and the side of D-Lab, they don't want to make any mistakes. I think they're putting a lot of pressure on this game number 2. They know on the side of D-Lab, if they're able to capitalize on a win on game number 2, they have such a huge momentum lead going into game number 3. But Indecisive, talking about that, climbing out of this hole to try and keep themselves alive inside this game number 2. And it's going to be coming down to these objectives, because at this point, that's the only thing they're playing for.
As we now see Crunch within the lane, scrapping, and Lauber's HP getting scrapped. He is going to be able to get away with just a little bit of HP as the law is offline, but Import's boulder is on. It's going to be North who gets recycled within the solo lane.
We thought they only, oh hello, the black hole on top of Appy Picker, looking like he wants to narrowly escape. One more meteorite, he might be able to get it. Can it be enough?
Oh man, he's so very low, but low is not at 0. Despite rhyming just a little bit, it is going to be a disengage and a save, with Argus being able to get out from underneath the pressure and the aggression of Gideon within the mid.
Just pressure everywhere. We thought they were playing for these objectives, slowing the game down, but somewhere along the way, they heard us and flipped the switch. They went aggressive into that off lane, able to pick up a kill, able to pick up a blink on the Kwang. Larber's gonna have another 5 minutes of being careful away from that Grux. And then you see Shin able to get that pressure in mid, forcing Appy Picker just kind of get out of there. Unable to secure the kill though, but still enough pressure for them to secure the mini prime.
And that mini prime just plays such a large part at being able to dictate the pressure and the overall momentum within your lane. Hey, you're solo lane, the land of the 1v1. However, it feels like one guy may have a little bit of an unfair advantage when he got that purple glow, a little bit of a sheen to him, if you will. Nonetheless, Lauber is going to be able to push up that wave into the tier 1, but only temporarily, as Morose is now going to take his time farming up.
Rose is one of those offlaners that he's usually the first person to hit level 18. The way he farms, the way he kind of just is prestigious on micromanaging himself inside of that off lane just makes him that high impact player. And if he's able to use this Orb Prime into getting that pressure over on that right side of the lane, he's going to be able to at least open the map up for that Fangtooth, but he cannot die with this rotation.
He absolutely cannot die, but we may be looking at a dive there from Import, as we're going to see Morose. He's going to catch the brunt end of a blink coming out of North. The ultimate is going to be utilized in order to get the stun to secure him. A little bit of space, but onto the back end. It is now going to be Shin, who's not going to be able to increase his kill potential that much, but he's going to be able to provide some timely reinforcements to his teammate.
Great war cry here, and then look at this dual lane forcing a blink from Toasty. Can they get it? Manq just looking to try.
God. The log armor, the log coming through. It's gonna log also very low until Neft leaves nothing left. I'll use the blink in order to use you. That's gonna be a double that goes into the pockets of the carry of D-Lab.
Man, that was just something you tried to get off, but that does open up the Fangtooth. Here, we now see Indecisive looking to play for number 2. This is the same exact treatment Dirty Lake and the boys were able to apply on them in game number 1, and they're flipping the switch as Morose uses that Orb Prime to now look at the T1 in mid.
Indeed, Indecisive's carry there, and Murdoch getting that double just opens up so much space for them to deprive any value that is on the map, especially with your carry being dead. As we make our way into the 15-minute mark, you're not going to have a lot of response that you're going to be able to get across easily, at the very least, whenever they're making a rotation for your tier 1 for the Fangtooth, and possibly for the tier 1 in that solo lane, if they so do choose.
I mean, with that Orb Prime away now, they're a little bit more safe on the side of Dirty Lake and the boys, but still, the pressure that they are mounted, even getting away a little HP at a time is huge when it comes to this game. If you're able to get it down low enough, that opens up the opportunity for you to be able to tower dive, especially if you're going to have enough pressure in those lanes. So this might be potentially going the way of Indecisive more than D-Lab.
Yeah, with Indecisive picking up some value, we're seeing the game plan that they want to implement being put down and executed near perfectly for them. Let's pick up a couple kills. Off the back of those kills, let's pick up some objectives. We're building into our long and short-term longevity, and if they are able to continue this pace with this much momentum, here at 25 minutes, possibly 30, they're going to have the game firmly within their hands. It's going to be up to D-Lab to respond here, F6.
They're going to have to respond. It's going to be right before the big Orb Prime pops up. We know that Fangtooth, that third one, is going to come up within by the 19-minute mark. We know both of these teams know how important that objective is, especially the third one when you have 2 already. Somebody's going to either have to stop you, or you get that just global buff that buffs your entire team and the gold on top of it. They can't allow for Indecisive to get that huge power spike.
They cannot at all, and if you're a D-Lab fan, you're maybe hoping that they're going to be able to pick it up themselves, whether it's between farming efficiently, locking down some of these neutral camps, or just generally being able to play safely until you curve yourself into the late game. We know that Argus 15 minutes into the game, he does damage, but nothing compared to what he's doing in 2025. He's going to be able to maybe provide the burst this team will need to negate some of the healing that comes out of Narbash.
They're going to need to build that anti-heal. But as we look over here, that root does go off as they're getting aggressive.
It's going to be an engage here from Crunch as the uppercut is going to be offline, and the burst fire is going to be able to help them create a little bit of space, but Import is now going to be in the mix. He wanted to get it invited to the function, and since he was left off, he is going to take North off of the map with the help of Neft. Now playing the space onto the back end. It's going to be Lakeinator and Toasty as Import is going to be looking for the dive to submerge the enemy team underneath the pressure that the damage is applying. The black hole, the Lord Arm of the Law, it's going to be indecisive, capitalizing underneath the tier 1.
That tower dive, that initiation, North thought he was there. They had the numbers advantage, but they did not. Indecisive said, we are here lurking behind these fog walls. They capitalize on it. We talk about getting those T1s low enough to tower dive, and that is what they did there.
They played the timing on that also so very well, waiting for the flip of the coin and Import afterwards as this Rampage just looked at them taking the tower shots, but then being able to pop off with the damage and more importantly, CC necessary to be able to lock up some of those kills. And off the back of that kill lead, 8-1, we're going to see them making a rotation on this mini Prime F6.
I mean, right after that fight over inside the dual lane, the solo bolo happened over in the off lane, and Morose was able to pick up that kill against Kwang. Now, they pick up that mini prime looking even stronger. These neutral objectives are in their favor, and they need to be careful here in the mid.
Oh, what a good tether onto Shin there as Lob is able to lock him down and make sure some of that damage translates. We're going to see a blink as now Neft is going to be left all alone and surrounded by a lot of orange. He is catching heat from 5 members with D-Lab being able to pick up a kill that's going to be able to swing in their favor. And they don't look quite done. They're hunting, they're looking, and it's going to be Happy Picker Swap now as he puts down the Ogre Man and Man-Q.
Do not count them out, ladies and gentlemen. They are still here. They saying we are still D-Lab, the ones you know and love, trying to get themselves back into this game. Great 2-kill pickup. They caught Neft out there inside the river. Lauber was able to put a little bit of pressure out, and they thought they had the opportunity, decisive and decisive, but D-Lab able to turn that one around.
Man, dude, call that an Uno reverse card, a 180, if you will, the way they turned that immediately, understanding that after that first pick, they had the advantage, had the momentum, and they had the utility to be able to chase down some of those kills. It is still going to be killing objectively, but they have a little bit of wind of their sails quickly being taken out here by a rotation coming from Lauber and the boys. Import maybe having to play the space a little bit closer to his Narbash now after taking so much damage so quickly.
Dude, he does have the sustain. He does have the mini prime. They're fighting for control, and Lauber's gonna have to be careful. He does not have that much health. And now with the control of the Fangtooth towards Indecisive, they're looking to make their move. They're looking to make that mark. But the side of Dirty Lake and the boys need to contest this third Fangtooth because we all know what happens if they don't.
Going 3 down is a tough feat, and not many can come back from, but Import is going to be looking for an engage onto the backline as Snap finds the engage on the Lauber. A big black hole coming out is going to help secure yet another one, as we're going to have an 0-2 trade right now going in favor of Indecisive, who decisively take the fight, take 2 lives, and now they're taking Fangtooth.
Everything they wanted went right. Neft in a great position. They were able to land a thonk. Lauber just overstepped a little bit too much, and they're able to capitalize on it. And that's a big mistake because another 15 seconds they're down for. They have the third Fangtooth. They have that power spike we talked about, and now they're looking for the big prime. And there's not much that they can do with the jungler down. It's another 15 seconds before he even gets to contest Smite versus Smite.
This is the Indecisive that we are so used to seeing, right? We're going to take objectives, we're going to take what you give us, and then we're going to take the game if you let us. It's going to be on you to make sure your gameplay, your engagements are going to be perfect, as it is going to be Orprime that's going to swing in favor of Indecisive. As now we have a team fight swinging within the pit. There's going to be Import who picks up the first kill. Neft playing the space on the edge is going to be able to free cast an also powerful spell, and it's called Bullet. However, it's not going to be free, as Happy Picker on the Psionic Obliterator is going to be able to pick up a kill, but it does not rival the infinite estimates of the damage that Gideon is going to be putting out. Now they're chasing, they're hunting, and they will find their prey as we have another ace in the grand finals.
Another one on the opposite side of the playing field. With this big orb prime, they don't have a lot to contest. The crunch is up, their timers are staggered, and this is the pressure that is needed for Indecisive as they now look towards this inhibitor. And if they don't come up in time, it is not looking good for D-Lab.
It is not looking good for them at all, and this is the mental fortitude we talked about earlier within the draft phase, within the early days of this game. The best players have to be able to reset, and we've seen Indecisive do exactly that, and they didn't change the formula, F6. We're going to play the neutrals, we're going to play our picks, and then we're going to play ourselves into the 20-minute mark, at which case we're seeing what they do. They go wide.
Wild indeed. Loose zoo animals out inside of this playing field right now. They're just doing an amazing job of controlling this. And one of the key parts that I think about is really that Rampage pickup. And now that they have the Gideon, there's two different things now you have to fight on. You have to fight on the vertical plane and on the ground. So there's a lot of different commotion going on. And with that Rampage, being able to use his passive in the jungle, being able to use that leap, that big behemoth mode to target the back line, they have that pressure they need. And the fact that they got the Narbash here, that is just something just to add on to spice up this big old plan.
I mean, they feel good about any engagement they take or set up at this point. Oh, you guys want to reset? I mean, we got the Narbash. Everybody's catching a little bit of healing when his song comes on. And if you want to go all in, well, let me tell you about my friend, the Behemoth. His name is Rampage, and he's trying to do what the name dictates. And if that's not enough, the Gideon Black Hole. We've come a time and a time again to the point of seeing this ultimate come up so big, and it hasn't really changed here. But we may see a change in the pace as Norf is going to be looking for an engage using his blink. He's not going to be able to find a lot of value, but Lobber is going to be able to find a lot of damage as that black hole. He missed onto the edge of the inhibitor, and he is going to be able to help fight one as Lobber is going to catch the Lobber. His team goes to hill. Ladies and gentlemen, this is looking like it is swinging in favor of Indecisive, who decisively 20-4 are going to walk into the core.
They did it. They were able to capitalize. They thought North was going to pick it, but look at the core, Ego.
Oh, man, it's going down, and it is going to fall as, ladies and gentlemen, we go back to a set. Call it a 2 or 3 because it is a 1-1 situation. Both teams have seen the win screen, and both have seen the defeat. Now, the only question I have is who wins the next one?
I don't know, man. We saw a complete 180. The Uno reverse card on this game. D-Lab were able to put the pressure on Indecisive in game number 1, and Indecisive said, no, we are still here to play, and they were able to reverse it. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a series on our hands.
Dude, it felt like a Roman legion. They just obeyed the orders that were coming out, and they started the march to conquer. We're taking Fangtooth. We're taking Mini Prime. We're taking the life of anyone you dare allow to rotate. And now it's time for us to take a breath as we're going to be shooting it over to the desk.
Thank you so much, Ego and F6. Welcome back to the desk, Predecessor Gamers. My name is Ardog with the Triple G, and I'm back with Ed and Wangle. We're watching the best of 5 grand finals, and we just watched game 2. Oh my, Indecisive said, oh, you took game 1, we're taking game number 2. Both of these teams are showing up today. They're hungry for a championship and yearning for that victory that's just within their grasp. Oh my goodness. Ed, D-Lab was able to take game 1 away, but what happened in game 2?
I don't know what happened other than Indecisive started leaning forward in their chairs. They were turning the heat up, and they were gaming. I mean, they just kind of got a good lead and just kept going for it and pounded it in. And I mean, D-Lab just couldn't keep up, and it's unfortunate. But hey, these are two terrific, great teams, so we're gonna see a lot of swings both ways. So I mean, this one here just went into Indecisive's way.
What were your observations from game 2?
I saw a lot of things really good on the side of Indecisive. Obviously, I think a big turning point was when Moos got the mini prime and was able to push up into his lane. They were able to convert that into the duo lane when Neft and Mankey were able to 2v2 Lake and Toasty and get a free second Fangtooth. And from there, they had Prio in the off lane. Waba was too far behind. Like, he needs to be the front line. He needs to be the main engage for these teams, or for D-Lab, and he wasn't able to ever walk in. It's rough for North to walk in. They're never able to take fights.
Yeah, and not to mention, Wo's got the solo Bolo on that Wabo. So, but it's not over till it's over. The games are oh so close and the stakes are oh so high. This is a best of 5. We're gonna take a quick break, but up next is game 3 between Dirty Lake and the boys and Indecisive.